Hey gang! Using the promo code MTGMudsta, all caps, will get you 10% off any order over $10 at Flipside Gaming. It'll also get you 10% off any orders of singles at Multizone. And it'll get you 10% off most products at Original Magic Art, with the exceptions of some paintings. If these fine sites don't have what you're looking for, you can also consider using my affiliate link when ordering from TCG Player. And if you'd like to join the Generic Goblin Gang to support this channel, there's a link to my Patreon in the description below. Today's game is another Multizone Monday matchup, with Kevin playing his Borborygmos deck, keeping a Scavenging Ooze, a Mountain, a Forest, Starstorm, Green Sun of Zenith, Edge of Autumn, and Vandal Blast. Miguel is playing his Kadena deck, keeping Sunken Hollow, Yavimaya Coast, 2 Forests, an Island, and Deathmist Raptor. Rickard is back with his Edgar Markov deck, playing a Felwar Stone, Blind Obedience, Defiant Bloodlord, Forerunner of the Legion, a Plains, and 2 Swamps. I'm playing Miguel's Ghired deck, keeping a Rugged Highlands, Lightning Greaves, Riskar's Expertise, Druid's Deliverance, Farseek, Sundering Growth, and Sacred Foundry. Rickard wins the die roll and starts us off. Rickard plays a Swamp. Miguel plays a Forest. Kevin plays a Forest and casts his Green Sun Zenith where X is 0. He goes to find a Dryad Arbor and passes to me. I play tapped Rugged Highlands, gaining 1 life. Rickard plays a Plains and casts Felwar Stone. Miguel plays an Island for turn. Kevin casts an Edge of Autumn and shortcuts, quickly playing a Mountain and then passing and searching for a basic as well. I play tap Sacred Foundry. Rickard plays a Swamp and casts a Cordial Vampire, gaining a Vampire token from his Edgar Markov's Eminence trigger. He then casts a Blind Obedience and passes. Miguel plays another Forest and casts a Kor Tribe Elder, who comes in tapped. Kevin casts a Realms Uncharted in his main phase, revealing Temple of the False God, Strip Mine, Ancient Tomb, and Hall of the Bandit Lord. He decides to swap the Strip Mine for Homeward Path, and then gives me the choices. I give him the Hall of the Bandit Lord and Homeward Path, and have Kevin put to bin his 2 mana generating lands. Kevin then plays a tapped Hall of the Bandit Lord, and passes to me. I cast Farseek, and go and find a Shockland, passing. Rickard draws for turn, and plays a Rupture Spire, paying the 1 as it enters. As he's doing this, Miguel makes a deal with him. If Rickard swings at Kevin and I, Miguel will sacrifice his Sakura Tribe Elder to pump Rickard's board with the Cordial Vampire. Rickard agrees, and before damage, Miguel sacrifices his Sakura Tribe Elder to find a basic. This has Rickard's Vampires gaining a +1/+1 counter and dealing 2 apiece. In his post-combat main phase, Rickard then drops a Forerunner of the Legion, gaining a Vampire token from casting it, and then going to tutor for a Vampire creature card to put on top of his library as it enters. He reveals Butcher of Malakir before putting it on top. He then passes, and at the end of turn, Kevin uses Nature's Claim on the Blind Obedience, destroying the enchantment and giving Rickard 4 life. Miguel plays a Sunken Hollow, which comes in untapped, and he casts his Commander. He then casts his first Morph creature for turn, which is free, and draws as it enters. Kevin casts Explore in his main phase, drawing a card, and is able to play an additional land this turn. He plays Homeward Path, and then loses 3 life as he taps the Hall of the Bandit Lord to help cast Yavimaya Elder. It has haste, which lets him swing it at Miguel. Miguel blocks with Kadena, and as the Elder dies, Kevin gets to go and find 2 basics for his hand. He plays one of them, a Mountain, and passes to me. I draw for turn, but it isn't a land, and I pay 2 for Lightning Greaves before passing turn. Rickard plays a Westvale Abbey, and brings out Edgar Markov. He gets a trigger for the Forerunner as his commander enters, pumping the Cordial Vampire by +1/+1 until end of turn. He then moves to combat, and swings all out at Kevin. He gets the on-attack trigger from Edgar Markov, putting a +1/+1 counter onto all of his vampires. Kevin then takes a total of 17 damage, 5 of which is commander, and Rickard passes turn. Miguel plays an Exotic Orchard, and morphs a creature, drawing as it enters. He then pays 3 to cast another morph creature, drawing another card, and passing turn. Kevin draws, and plays a land. He then passes to me. I draw, wishing I could also play a land, and have to discard while passing. Rickard untaps with a sizable board, and checks in for life totals. He swings Edgar and the Forerunner at Kevin, and the rest at me. With Edgar Markov's on-attack trigger going onto the stack, once Kevin gains priority, he casts Starstorm where X is 5. This will unfortunately wipe Rickard's board, so once he gains priority, he pays 5 mana and taps Westvale Abbey, sacrificing 5 creatures to transform it into Ormdal Profane Prince. With the Westvale Abbey transforming, Miguel gains priority, and he megamorphs the Stratus Dancer to counter the Starstorm. And with his attack step basically fogged, Rickard then passes. Miguel draws and plays Yavimaya Coast. He casts Secret Plans and morphs a Grim Haruspex, drawing a card from the Secret Plans as he turns it face up. Miguel then hits me with Kadena and passes turn. I get some revenge though at the end of turn by blowing up Secret Plans with Sundering Growth. Kevin loses another 3 life as he taps his Hall of the Bandit Lord to cast a hasty Borborygmos. Miguel, ever the deal maker, offers Kevin the option of having the Ormondal exiled, and Kevin agrees to attack Rickard if that's the case. This prompts Miguel to use Reality Shift to exile the demon and mana-face Rickard's top card. Kevin then swings Borborygmos at Rickard, who takes the full hit for 7. We then see Kevin resolving the on-hit trigger for Borborygmos, only revealing 1 land in his top 3. He puts it to hand and bins the rest and passes. Sadly, my turn isn't much of an inspiration as I draw and pass. Rickard draws and plays Bishop of Rebirth, gaining a vampire token from the Eminence trigger and then passing turn. Miguel morphs 1 creature for free and plays a Temple of False God. He then casts a Green Sun Zenith where X is 6. He tutors from his library and puts to field a Thunderfoot Baloth. Moving to combat, the Stratus Dancer and Morph go at Rickard, while the Grim Haruspex and Kadena head at me. We both take the hit, not that I have much say in the matter, for 9 and 10 damage respectively. Miguel then passes turn. Kevin casts a Snake Umbra on his commander, and he goes at Rickard. Rickard blocks 2 of it with the manifested creature, and we see that it was a Patron of the Vein, while he still takes 6 commander damage from Borborygmos. Kevin then resolves the Snake Umbra trigger, drawing a card, and then the Borborygmos trigger. He reveals his top 3, hitting 1 land, putting it to hand, and binning the rest. In his post-combat main phase, he casts a Courser of Krufix and passes. I draw and play a tap Jungle Shrine before passing to Rickard. Rickard untaps and draws for turn. He's also hurting for lands at this point and goes to combat. He swings the Bishop at Rebirth at me, which triggers its ability, letting him bring back the Forerunner much like Sun Titan would. The Forerunner enters and lets him go and find a vampire card to put on top. We see a Captivating Vampire get put on top of his library. In Rickard's post-combat main phase, he then casts a Bloodline Necromancer, getting a vampire token from the Eminence trigger as he casts it, and then returns to field the Patron of the Vein as it enters. As the Patron enters, it destroys the Thunderfoot Baloth. With it dying, Miguel gets to draw a card from his Grim Haruspex, and it's then exiled by the Patron, giving Rickard's board a +1/+1 counter. Miguel draws for turn and plays a tap Thornwood Falls, gaining 1 life as it enters. He then loses 2 life instead of paying the blue for the Phyrexian Blue in Tezzeret's Gambit, drawing 2 cards and proliferating on his Stratus Dancer. Oddly enough, he doesn't want to proliferate on Rickard's side of the board. He then casts a Seedborn Muse and examines his morph cards and passes turn. Miguel untaps with Kevin, and Kevin casts a Scryshard Claim, gaining 2 life as he puts 2 forest cards to the field. He then plays a forest off the top, gaining another life as it enters, and reveals a Stranglehold. He still has enough mana for Titania, who enters and returns a land from his graveyard. This has Kevin bringing back Temple of the False God, and he gains another life. Kevin then casts a Gruul Signet and passes. At the end of turn, Miguel morphs his Thelonite Hermit, making 4 Saproling tokens as he does. Miguel untaps with me, and I draw and cast Voice of Many, drawing 0 extra cards as it enters before equipping it with my Greaves and passing turn. Miguel untaps with Rickard, although he's already untapped, and Rickard draws. He heads to combat, swinging the Bishop at me again, and this lets him bring back the Cordial Vampire, and I take the hit for 4. Rickard then passes turn, and before leaving the end step, Miguel cycles an Ash Barrens, grabbing a basic swamp. Miguel plays a swamp and casts his free morph creature, drawing from it as it enters. He then pays to morph again, drawing another card as it enters. Miguel then goes to combat, swinging at me with the Saprolings. I block 1 with my voice and take 6. With the Saproling dying, Rickard's board gets pumped because of the Patron and the Corial Vampire. Miguel then taps with Kevin, and Kevin reveals a Windswept Heath off the top of his library. He then plays it for turn, gaining 1, before sacrificing it and losing 1, but getting that life right back as he finds a land. He also gains a 5/3 elemental token from Titania seeing a land go to the graveyard. Kevin then heads to combat, swinging Borborygmos at me, and before letting damage happen, Miguel turns face up as Inox Survivalist. He puts the Destroy trigger on the Snake Umbra, and Kevin gains priority. This prompts him to throw a Force at Miguel with Borborygmos, dealing 3 and drawing a card. He then bolts Miguel again with an Arcane Lighthouse, drawing another card. Wasteland then deals 3 to Rickard, and draws Kevin a 3rd card. That seems to be it, but before moving to resolve the Inox trigger, Miguel then flashes in a Thought Sponge. The Umbra is then destroyed, and I block some of the damage with Voice of the Many. Kevin then gets to reveal his top 3, and hits 2 lands. Kevin then casts for the flashback cost Faithless Looting, drawing 2 and discarding 2. He then casts a Scavenging Ooze, Kevin throws 2 lands at the Seedborn Muse, and with the triggers on the stack, Miguel turns face up his Deathmist Raptor. Also with the Seedborn dying, the Patron and Corial Vampire triggers go onto the stack. Kevin responds and exiles the Muse with his Scavenging Ooze, gaining 1 life and putting a counter onto the Ooze, and per Gatherer's rules, the Patron then gives Rickard's board another +1/+1 counter despite not being able to exile the creature, and he also puts a second one because of the Cordial Vampire. I untap and play a Rogue's Passage. I pay 5 for Ghired, making a Rhino as he enters. I swing my commander at Miguel, who I'm pretty sure is the threat right now, and populate the Rhino to make one that's attacking him as well. He blocks Ghired with the Thought Sponge, and takes the 4 from my Rhino, and I pass turn. Rickard draws for turn, and thinks who he needs to hit. He pays 5 for an Exquisite Blood in his main phase, and moves to combat. The Bishop heads at me once more, while the Patron, Forerunner, and 2 tokens go at Miguel. Miguel blocks the Forerunner with his Raptor, the Patron with the Stratus Dancer, and the Theolonite and the Survivalist go in front of the tokens. I also block the Bishop with my Rhino. 6 creatures then die, triggering the Cordial Vampire 6 times, and the Patron only 5. Miguel will also be drawing 4 cards from the Grim Haruspex as his creatures die. Responding to the Patron exile triggers, Kevin pays 3 green and exiles 2 of Miguel's creatures and Rickard's Forerunner, gaining 3 life and getting to put 3 +1/+1 counters onto his Scavenging Ooze. Miguel untaps and draws. He plays a tap Jungle Hollow, gaining 1 life, and plays his free Morph for turn, drawing from Kadena. He then casts a Morph and draws as it enters. Miguel then passes, discarding down to 7, while Kevin casts a Chord of Calling where X is 5. He grabs Xenagos and puts him to the field before starting turn. Kevin casts Hull Breach in his main phase, blowing up the Blood and my Greaves. He then taps 10 mana to cast the recently drawn Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger, and loses 3 life from casting it with the Hall of the Bandit Lord. The on-cast trigger has Kevin exiling the Corial Vampire and the Bloodline Necromancer. With the targets on the stack, Miguel also uses Sultai Charm to destroy the Bishop. Kevin then heads to combat, putting the Xenagos trigger on Ulamog, and swings the Eldrazi at Miguel and his commander at Rickard. Miguel has to exile his top 20 cards, Rickard then takes the hit from the commander, and Miguel blocks the Saproling. Kevin gets his Borborygmos trigger, revealing his top 3, but sadly hitting no lands, and he passes turn. I draw for turn, using Ghired's Belligerence to take out Miguel's Grim Haruspex. I get to populate, making another Rhino token, and Rickard's board gains another +1/+1 counter because of the Patron of the Vein, exiling the Haruspex as it dies. I pass, and at the end of my turn, Miguel turns face up Chrome Shell Crab. He swaps control of it with Kevin's commander, and he then discards enough lands from his hand to take out Rickard. With the final ability on the stack, Kevin taps his Homeward Path to take back Borborygmos, and with Kevin's ability on the stack, Miguel then discards 2 more lands, taking out Titania and the 5/3 elemental she made. Rickard then gets taken out, and we move to Miguel's turn. Miguel draws and megamorphs up his Silumgar Assassin to take out the Courser of Kruphix. It gains a +1/+1 counter, and Miguel then casts Ob Nixilis Reignited, and down takes the Walker to take out the Scavenging Ooze. With the Planeswalker's ability on the stack, Kevin exiles 1 creature from Miguel's yard to gain 1 life with the Ooze. Miguel then moves to combat, swinging his board at Kevin, but is only enough to put him to 1 if he connects. Kevin decides to discard a mountain to try and take out the morph creature. But sadly, this is playing into Miguel's plan, as he megamorphs Kadena's silencer, countering Kevin's ability. This also gives the silencer a +1/+1 counter, which is enough to take Kevin out when they connect. I play a forest and swing my team at Miguel for 8. He takes it and passes. Miguel draws, and I use Druid's Deliverance on his upkeep to fog his combat step and gain another Rhino token. He then plays his free morph creature, drawing a card, and passing. I cast Second Harvest at the end of my turn, and Miguel, never without an answer this game apparently, morphs his face-up Keru Spell Snatcher and counters my spell and exiles it. I draw for turn, and unhappy with it, cast a Rishkar's Expertise, drawing 4 more. I'm not happy with any of those, and I'm able to cast a Momentous Fall for free thanks to the expertise, sacrificing a Rhino, and gaining 4 life, and drawing 4 more. I then play Tap Selesnya Sanctuary, returning a land to my hand, and I pass, discarding down to 7. Miguel draws, and we realize that he can take out one of my Rhinos. At this point, if he does, I can't block enough to live, and I concede the game to Miguel. Game review time. So what I thought was a pretty decent hand of 2 lands and a 3rd land ramp card was actually a pretty poor choice on my part. I felt pretty confident that I'd find a 4th and a 5th land at some point, but it took several draws before I could even get to 5 mana. By that late in the game was pretty much over. Rickard also seemed to struggle with lands, but unlike me, his board always seemed to be filled to the brim with large vampire tokens or creatures. He had a decent amount of recursion, and his curve was low enough that he was able to cast at least 1 spell a turn without too much of a hindrance. Miguel on the polar opposite side kept a very land-heavy hand, but it certainly helps when your commander's drawing you cards by doing things that you want to do, and I honestly think that Kadena might be the best morph commander in the game. I think Kevin unfortunately got very unlucky with his Borborygmos and Raged hits, and he basically binned a lot of really good answers like Ugin, which would have gone a long way in controlling the board. Ugin wouldn't have dealt with Miguel's face-down cards, but at least Kevin could have upticked the Planeswalker to deal 3 to them and take them out that way. Please be sure to tune in every Monday and Thursday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/MTGMudsta. And lastly, you can check me out when I stream at twitch.tv/MTGMudsta. This video is brought to you in support by my patrons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below. Thank you all for watching this video, and don't forget, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.